Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by Cachefly at cachefly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Ford, featuring Bliss, the blind spot information system with cross-traffic alert and active park assist. Check out these available features on the 2013 Ford Fusion and 2013 Ford Taurus. You can learn more at ford.com/technology. Hello and welcome to All About Android, episode 89, recorded on Tuesday, December 11th, 2012. We are your weekly source for the latest news, apps, and hardware for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards in a different seat.
What? Doesn't it kind of feel weird when you're like centered?
It does feel weird.
You're like close to center. You really should have done the intro today.
Normally I'm on the, I should be, no, you don't want me to do the intro. I've done it once on the show, but yeah. But normally I'm on the edge. It's a different perspective now. So I like, I like a new point of view.
Yeah, exactly. So. A little bit later we're going to bring Tony Wang, who, produces all of us editors or manages all of us editors here at TWiT. He's got a pretty cool kind of piece of hardware with him. At that point, you will understand the awesomeness of having to go like this all the time.
Yeah. But I'm very excited to see what he's got in the box. He's got a box.
Too. What's in the box, Tony? Yeah. Chad, of course, our awesome producer is on the board. Welcome, Chad. Always good to have you here.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm quickly.
Unfortunately, my shot looks like this. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, a little unfortunate.
You look so much like a radio set.
Yeah. I was a little confused by that, but kind of threw me off there. There we go. Liz is on the set. Thanks, Liz.
We have people here that do the turning of the cameras. And I do not want to leave out our awesome guest today, Michael Wolfson, developer of the Droid of the Day app, which was the winner, I'm sure you remember, months ago, of the fan-made app contest that we had on the show. Michael, it's awesome to have you back.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always a great time.
Absolutely. I love having you on the show. You bring a really good kind of developer perspective, and we certainly have some stories that we're talking about today that will need that developer insight, so we'll lean on you a little bit.
And a proven winner. So
That's
I like that. We have proven winners on our show.
You're a
so
winner.
It's good to have you back. So.
All right, let's dive right into the news.
All right, so it is always interesting when Larry Page, CEO of Google, opens his mouth publicly.
He doesn't do it very often.
Doesn't do it very often at all, but whenever he does, it is very interesting. And recently he did talk, and he was talking about Apple, Android monetization, and even the Motorola Nexus device, or rumors of that. Not so much rumors, but as why there isn't a Motorola Nexus device, which I find interesting.
And if there will be.
Yeah, exactly. So he he sat down with a writer from Fortune to talk about the state of Google and state of technology. And he referred a lot to Apple's island-like approach to its platform as, quote unquote, somewhat a shame for users. He goes on to say that he thinks that it would be nice if everybody could get along better and users didn't suffer as a result of other people's activities, which is a nice philosophy to have. He also went in to talk about how important the success of Android has been to Google and availability and sharing, and makes a point, hotly debated. We've talked about Google Plus and its role in Google's kind of ecosystem and their plans. And he explained, before they had 18 different ways of sharing, and now that they did Plus, they've got one, and it works well, and it's improving.
Yeah, and it's obvious how important the kind of the Plus integration has become in just the Android ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought was a very interesting little bit because we haven't heard much about Plus and how it plays into their strategy and all that stuff. And it makes sense that Google was all over the map as far as what they could do. And Plus, really, you might not like the fact that you need to make a Plus profile to leave a review of an app or something like that, but it did bring everything together. And additionally, he talked about monetization around the Android platform, and he said that the whole plan of Google and the way Google makes money is through localization. And how better to really play up with localization than with phones where where people are. And so, I got a sense from reading this that they have a plan. It might take a long time. It's not exactly happening right now, but it's going to get there. And then finally, the interesting thing was they asked why we haven't seen a Motorola-powered Nexus device yet. And Page was very honest in saying they just haven't owned the company long enough. and that they couldn't roll a new device from that company that quickly after purchasing the whole company lock, stock, and barrel. So you get the sense that we'll see it eventually. So,
yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised if we didn't just see it eventually. That would be a strange omission, almost like overcorrecting for the fact that, and he says in the interview, he doesn't want to unfairly, kind of remove that capability from or be perceived as removing that capability from other manufacturers. Having said that, they could overcorrect and never give it to Motorola, and I think a lot of people would actually like to see a Motorola Nexus.
I think there's got to be a balance there. I think it's good to give the other partners the opportunity and the chance to do it, but it's silly if they don't try to develop internally, because then that's more money in their pocket. So
they certainly have worked with Motorola in the past, not on a Nexus device, but the Droid was as close to a Nexus device as possible without being Nexus, and of course the Zoom as well. They didn't release a developer version of that, so both of those devices, while not actually Nexus devices, were Motorola almost developer-centric devices. So there is a history.
I guess when you really think about it, the original Motorola Droid was kind of the first Nexus.
Well, yeah, it was
the first Nexus from an experience standpoint, not necessarily from an update standpoint, because it still had those delays.
Well, yeah, and it was pre the Nexus program and all that sort of thing, but it was the really kind of first entry, the big push into a branded kind of Droid experience. I think Verizon probably pushed that even more so, but Google was involved in it. And like you mentioned, they did have the developer version of the Zoom, and that was really the entry point into tablets.
Sure.
The monetization stuff I think is really interesting in terms of not praying, but focusing on localization and being able to. Because if you think about it, Google's whole system of making money has been mainly through advertising and through localized ads. I tweeted about it last week. I think I was searching for something and I actually got an ad that was relevant, and I clicked on it and I said, "Oh, wait a minute, this does work." So can they make it work on the phone side? Can they roll in advertising? Can they roll in local information and be able to charge for it and drive revenue for it?
That's kind of what Larry kind of said a little bit in this interview, which is that kind of knowing the location of users of Android. As far as like making money off of Android, it's a long-term gain. They haven't really necessarily gotten to the point that they expect to, but that localization information is so key and very valuable. A valuable thing that almost seems kind of untapped at this point.
You think about the potential, and I always go back, and I've done a couple of talks at tech conferences and stuff like this in the past, and I go back to the old AT&T commercials of the mid '90s. Do you remember that with the you will commercials, where you ever dial into a work conference call from the beach and it's like you will? It was like before cell phones.
Oh yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
Okay,
go back on YouTube. Go back on YouTube and watch those commercials and see all the things they're predicting.
I forgot about those. Yes.
But a big part of it is that the idea being that, okay, I know I need to go get something. I kind of want to get Thai. I'm in Petaluma. I don't really know very well. I should be able to look at my phone and just say Thai and pop up and find the restaurants, and then those restaurants should be able to pay to get an ad. In a world where all this technology works, that's a really powerful application. It's just we're not there yet.
So. We're getting there with all the Niantic Lab stuff, the Field Trip app, and of course Ingress. They're conditioning us to get used to wanting to use location on our phones and welcome interruptions.
Yeah.
That's true.
And the thing is that they're not really interruptions if they enrich your experience, if you're getting the information you want. So.
Right. They're conditioning us to get used to that.
Yeah.
So when they do send us ads, we're receptive.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's similar to what they did with search. To be honest, they conditioned us to expect other things in the search results, and then now we don't even think about it.
Right.
So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, kind of tying into this, Google Play services. This I think came out right as last episode came out, maybe a little bit before, but it's interesting to bring it up because we didn't talk about it last week, and because Michael, you are a developer, so these changes to the API, specifically the Maps API, and then also Photosphere being included into the API, and just how that kind of ties into the location aspect of what Larry Page was saying. You said before the show started that you kind of had some direct tie-ins with those two stories.
Yeah, so, there's two tie-ins with the stories. The first one was Larry said that as Google tries to make things available to everybody in all platforms, so by making all these great Maps tools available in the API, available for developers, that's going to make a real robust map environment. So the things that they included that now developers can use, previously the maps were pretty much static. You could, place pointers on a map, but you couldn't do a lot of the advanced things that Google could do, like vector-based maps or 2D, 3D building views or the two-finger tilt and rotate. So all those things are now included in the API that the developer can use, and that changes everything. It makes now a developer has access to these really robust and amazing tools. Map components. So I expect to see a lot of innovation around that.
Yeah, they use Trulia kind of as a way to kind of show it off a little bit on a tablet perspective, but Trulia is kind of like a house.
Yeah, it's real estate. It's a real estate.
real estate
which
listings.
makes perfect sense.
I mean, that's just the perfect application of something like that. But
Call me crazy and old man.
You're crazy and an old man.
Old man, and get off my lawn. 3D maps.
Yeah?
I don't like them.
You don't like them?
I don't like them. I mean, going back to that shot of the Trulia app with the big panner, I would much rather see an overhead shot of the city. I never look at a city in that direction.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong.
It brings a certain perspective though. Like in this view, specifically, there's the downtown area. Looking at it like this really gives you an indication of, okay, well then this house might actually be 2 blocks away from that really big building that I'm used to seeing.
Right.
That might actually be useful versus a top-down approach where you don't necessarily get that perspective.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
How important is it really? But it's not unimportant.
But like in navigating and like on the phone and when you're driving somewhere, like like that kind of angled view, whatever. That and I don't actually even want street view at that level. I'd rather maybe it's because it's because I'm trained with the big old atlas and I know how to look down at a map and all that sort of stuff. And maybe the next generation is going to be like, oh, okay, cool. I'm in it. It's augmented reality. Okay, this is where I'm going.
Next generation doesn't even need to go anywhere.
Exactly,
they just go into the virtual map. And
One thing worth mentioning is you mentioned Street View and some of the other layers, hybrid and terrain views. The layers, those weren't available previously either.
Yeah.
So, they really opened up basically the whole map platform. And as a developer, I may not want to use these tools, and they may not be right for my needs. But it sure is nice to have them available to me if I want to do something different or innovative.
Now, is it when you get that sort of data available from an API? Is it more attractive to put them in because you can or because you should? Like, do you ever wrestle with that?
Yeah. I mean, that's your point certainly. Yeah. And generally, in mobile, you shouldn't. In mobile, you want people to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. So it's not a place for fluff.
Right.
Yeah, just putting it in just because it might actually be a deterrent.
Yeah, I turn off satellite view and I turn off all that stuff even on my desktop because the load time, and I've got like 35 down in my apartment, and it still takes a second to load in, and it's so. I don't know.
Well, kind of along those lines, and maybe something, I don't know, that might tie closer to the apps that you create, Michael. Improvements to Google's API for in-app purchases, some refinements around that. I think ultimately, yes, like you were saying, Michael, the more access that Google gives you to their APIs, the better. One I really want to see it, is for them to open up the API for Google Music. Because if you do that, I mean, there are a lot of people that love the service and it's an indispensable service, but maybe want to use a different player. And right now it's very hacksaw around that.
To see the innovation that could come out of that, to see visualizers or some sort of I'm
not sure. I'm trying to figure out why they wouldn't want to do that. Why not open it up? It still emboldens people to use that Google Music service, and that's kind of the point, right?
Do you think the labels might throw throw blockers in that they don't want their music available in such a public format?
Bingo.
Yeah.
And also, you make anything available, someone's going to figure out how to get around something.
That's probably it. Then somebody creates a music player but it's not like we don't already have apps in the Play Store that allow you to store those caches of music locally.
Yeah.
Like, what else would you be able to do? I don't know. But I would love to see that.
But before we move on, I think you're burying the lead on this in-app purchases story, in that it's making the in-app purchasing API makes it faster, better, harder, and less likely to lose transactions, which I think is key, because how many in-app purchases are losing transactions? I mean, that's directly taking money out of people's pockets.
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's good to see that they're staying on top of it and improving it. So
no kidding. Just a really quick mention here. Just saw this before the show started. Guy Kawasaki, who is a very notable evangelist for Apple back in the 80s.
Old school. He was
total
old school Apple. Right?
He told Read Write Web.
I do the same thing, by the way. Just so you know.
Hard to say. He no longer uses iOS products and, in fact, fell in love with Android 1 year ago with the Droid Razr Max, I believe it was, and now he's on the S3. Says the great irony, and I thought this is interesting, is that Apple's slogan is, quote, think different, but today if you think different, you're looking at Android. I don't know, how or how believable or how much everybody agrees with that. I don't know. I think they both have their own qualities, but
sure. But it's interesting to see somebody like Guy and somebody like hasn't Wozniak been dipping his toe in it?
Yeah, although I think his choice is still iOS, but he definitely did. Yeah.
Well, he carries like 9 phones,
right? Yeah, exactly. Have you seen his backpack filled with gadgets? He carries everything with him. But I bring it up because you can actually catch Guy Kawasaki on tomorrow's Triangulation with Leo.
That'll be good.
Live at 4 p.m. Pacific on the TWiT network. So I'm sure they're going to talk about this a little bit. It's kind of been a notable news story that's popped up today and kind of an interesting factoid about Guy Kawasaki.
I might actually tune in for that. That sounds very interesting. That sounds good.
Excellent.
All right. So before we move on, we got an email, a quick little email that I am qualified to answer. Jonathan from Vermont writes in and says, a quick question. I'm very interested in a Google TV for my bedroom TV. I do not game at all. Streaming internet content is important, but not as important as local network content. Can the Google TV stream content from a network share, such as a NAS or another PC on the local network? Love the show. Keep up the great work. And
can it, Ron?
Long story short, Jonathan from Vermont, yes. You're totally covered. In fact, this is the primary way I use my Google TV for watching a lot of content. I have a lot of content files, locally or things like that. And basically, what you can do is you can use the native Google TV media player, and it'll pick up any sort of shared devices on the network. You do need to have a piece of software running on the device that's hosting the content. So, for example,
Plex?
So Plex is a good option. Plex is a very good option. Plex is very good. I happen to use the Views client, which has a so basically you want anything. It's the DLNA option. So I use Views and I drag and drop my content into Views, and then that streams it to the Google TV. You can utilize Plex for this. There's also a couple of apps that do this as well, like the Avia media player, which they do some great. It's a different UI on the Google TV than the stock media player. It still needs that piece of software on the desktop to stream it out. But once you can have the two pieces of software talking to each other, you can stream whatever you want. And I've had no problem with MP4, MOV, MKV. Pretty much the major codecs are covered now. I
think it depends on the streaming player too, on which sort of codec you use. Plex seemed to have better support for me than the embedded Logitech player, from my experience.
But the great news is that you absolutely can. So
that's what you would hope out of a set-top box that kind of integrates.
It's really funny because I do use Views on my desktop, but I don't use any of the torrenting stuff on Views. Like
it's just a media server.
I just use it for the media server, and it has totally no BS. Mm-hmm. Like that's exactly why I'm just using it. Mm-hmm. I use Transmission for my BitTorrent, but anyway, but yeah, that's a whole nother discussion for another time when we're not recording. But yeah, so long story short is you absolutely can. So
excellent. So check that out. All right, let's take some time to thank our sponsor. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Ford. Now, Ford has developed various available technologies to collect vehicle data and then actually use that to enhance and improve the overall driving experience. One example is actually Bliss. It's the Blind Spot Information System, and another one is Active Park Assist.
That's a great acronym.
I know, really.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that
just makes it sound like driving a Ford is awesome.
Love it.
Blissful. Here's how Bliss works. Sensors in both vehicle rear quarter panels actually scan potential blind spots, and they detect the traffic around you. If another vehicle is indeed in that blind spot, there's a sound, there's an audible sound that sounds off, and then visual alerts actually also warn the driver. Bliss technology also enables a feature called cross traffic alert. This can warn the driver of oncoming traffic when backing out of a parking space with obstructed views. Man, I wish I had this in my Prius because there's a huge blind spot in this, and I'm always thinking I'm going to back right into something. Such as, for example, in between two large vans where they're just so big you can't see around them. Another helpful technology is Active Park Assist, which actually uses sensors to identify a suitable parallel parking space, calculate the trajectory, and steer the car precisely into the spot. It does all of this in as little as 24 seconds. All the driver operates are the accelerator, the gear selector, and brake pedal. The Ford does the rest. That's pretty awesome. It's clear that Ford is staying on top of new technologies to help improve the overall driving experience, making parallel parking easier for everybody. Bliss with Cross Traffic Alert and Active Park Assist are available in the 2013 Ford Fusion and the 2013 Ford Taurus. You can learn more about this and other technologies Ford is bringing to its vehicles at ford.com/technology. That's ford.com/technology. And thank you. There we go. See, there's an example of it. That is awesome.
It is.
I love it.
It's really. It's not only is it cool, it's scary.
I know.
Like, we are getting close. The technology is getting so closer and closer to the point where we just get in the car and just go.
I was just going to say,
The mall.
talk about driverless cars,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Like,
yeah.
the smarts are there these days, obviously.
I'm sure insurance companies love it.
if it cuts down on the accidents.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm all for it. I will gladly. If you could give me a self-driving car that stays steady at like 60, 65 miles on the freeway, I'm fine. I don't need to. Like, while I do drive fast, I would easily sit back and read.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. Well,
Absolutely.
baby steps.
Baby steps.
Parking.
Ford's leading the way, though. I
Yes,
think.
absolutely. Ford.com/technology. And we thank Ford so much for their continued support of All About Android and the TWiT network. Awesome. All right,
I'm very excited for this.
Me too. Let's dive into hardware. All right, so we would like to introduce Tony Wang, managing editor here at TWiT. I think I got your job title right. Sure. Yeah, does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. He's the resident smiley guy, and he has a box. What's in the box,
What's in the
Tony?
I think it's a Nexus 4. I'm not sure.
You hope it's a Nexus 4. That's what we're expecting.
I hope it's a Nexus 4. I haven't seen one in person yet.
So have you cut the
No,
tape?
I haven't.
Okay.
No, it's been
So it's completely sealed, just so everyone knows. See here, I can't open it.
slowly peeling away at the tape.
Yeah, he's been dying.
Okay,
for this, by the
first
way.
of all,
Yeah.
I have to thank you, Tony, because you got this at 11 this morning?
Yeah.
And then you offered to unbox
do
it
it.
on the show, and I was like,
Couldn't do it.
okay, you're going to wait all day to open this
That's like,
thing?
listen, we're not going to open the Christmas presents until like 3 o'clock
Dang.
on Christmas. Is that
Yeah.
cool? No, you got to dive right in. All right, well, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. And Michael,
Let's just keep talking and let's delay it as long as possible. Wait, let's talk about the box.
Tony, how long ago did you order it?
I ordered it the second time it came into stock.
okay, so like a week and a half ago or
2 weeks
whatever,
ago.
2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
So you've been waiting 2 weeks for this.
Yes.
All right, and now we're open. All right.
Oh, personal information.
Oh, hello. There you go.
All right.
All right.
Excellent.
Over there.
All right. So, So in reality, we probably could have opened the box and seen the Nexus box inside of it.
At least today.
Right. It's a true unboxing. Oh, is it going to be the hard to open black sticker?
Apparently not.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
See, right here, we see the controversial black sticker that is hard to open.
Now, Michael, you also got a Nexus 4, right?
Ew.
Oh, you have it.
Shiny.
Oh.
Dang, that is shiny.
All right. So here we are.
You got that
Ooh,
yesterday?
that's very nice.
I got it last night, and I ordered it direct from T-Mobile, so I didn't unfortunately have to go through any of the Play Market pain.
Fortunately, yeah, absolutely.
This is killing Tony. I love it. All right. So we got it. There it is.
Wait a minute, that's not a Nexus 4. No, actually it is.
That
I'm
is
just
a
kidding.
big phone.
Nice. So,
But actually, that phone is exactly the same size as the Galaxy Nexus.
No, I'm holding it right here. Yeah, I don't want to touch yours. Sorry, that's my big head. I'm sorry. Anyway,
It's just a little thinner than Nexus 4, but I actually put my Nexus 4 inside of my G-Nex case, and it fits almost exactly. Obviously, the buttons don't line up, but
right.
I was surprised how similar the shape of those two phones are.
Yeah, they are. They are really close.
I mean, they're very similar. Yeah, I mean, just through and through. Maybe the design materials aren't the same, but just the body shape. I mean, head on, it's very hard to tell.
I wonder
the
how
subtle
involved
differences.
Google. Well, no, it's your phone.
Just don't drop it.
Sure. All right. I wonder how
It's coming.
I wonder how involved Google has been in the hardware design of it. You know, I wonder if LG said, how do you want it to look? Are they looking for some sort of consistency from phone to phone?
Yeah.
You know?
My guess is they've come up with a certain size that they think is the right size for a phone, and that is this, 4.5-ish inch display. My guess is they've given a lot of thought to the shape of the phone, and they think this is the right size. I think it's good too.
Yeah, I mean, just right off the top, I can't help but compare the two because they are so similar in shape, and just right off the top, the super flat back versus the rounded on the Samsung definitely feels a little more solid.
I love the rounded back of the Galaxy Nexus. I think that design is just so wonderful. It fits on your face so well, and
that's right, the screen. Yeah, you're right. The Galaxy Nexus does have a slight curve in the screen versus the Nexus 4 that's flat.
Yeah.
A big difference I noticed right off the bat was the size of the screen goes much more to the edge of the phone. You can see the, I don't know what area they call that's not screen. The black on the side is much thinner on the Nexus 4.
The bezel.
Oh yeah, the side bezel there. You're right.
It's almost non-existent on the 4.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking. Yeah, and I mean, even there, you're talking subtle differences. But when you see it in person, you definitely see the difference. I mean, the camera placement, the earphone. Yeah, it's so similar looking straight on.
I love the box marketing copy. The best of Google with your favorite Google apps like Chrome, Gmail, Google+, Google Maps, and Google Now. Nexus 4 brings you the right information at just the right time. Also explore over 675,000 apps and games on Google Play. They really want that number to be 1 million. Beyond smart, Nexus 4 comes with an amazing new camera experience, plus a vivid 4.7-inch display, cutting-edge quad-core processor, all-new gesture keyboard, and worldwide GSM HSPA Plus compatibility. Totally wireless, Android Beam, cloud syncing, latest software updates directly from Google come standard with Nexus 4.
So here's one thing that I notice on it, and I noticed this actually, I clue into it only because I just spent 10 days with the Droid DNA, and I had the same kind of realization with that, is that the screen on this device, there is no, how do I say this? There is no outside frame for the phone that keeps it from the table when you set it face down. On the Galaxy Nexus, you have a tiny bit of that frame. So if you set it down there, you're not setting it directly on the glass unless there's something on the table that's going to protrude into it. The Droid DNA was the same, where it's rounded right to the edge, and even off the edge it slopes down, so you cannot set this face down.
Yeah, I'm very worried about that because one of the editors from Engadget, he dropped his Nexus flat straight on the concrete. And shattered the whole front.
Yeah, well, it's glass on the front, glass on the back.
It doesn't have,
Because my question was like, is the whole Gorilla Glass and all that stuff gotten to the point where we don't need to worry about it? And it sounds like clearly not.
No.
I've heard some other podcast mentioning that they've got some big scratches on the front too. So you still got to be careful.
Yeah, you just have to be careful. I mean, and I'll even say with the DNA, it was a reviewing unit. I was very careful with it. And I never set it on its face. And still, at the end, there was a tiny little scratch that maybe only I could see, but I saw it on the display.
It's painful, yeah.
Yeah, and you just have to be really careful.
So we're going to turn it on now?
Eventually, one of the reasons
we get all this and we haven't even turned it on.
I know. We probably won't go through the whole thing, but hey, we haven't seen the 4 in the flesh before. So
I've never had LG before, so this is my first LG phone ever.
Oh, so you're switching from what carrier?
I left AT&T.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're on T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
Yeah.
So the important thing that people need to know is the SIM card is different in this. So I was switching, from T-Mobile to stay on T-Mobile, and the SIM, I guess it's a micro SIM or a smaller SIM. So you're going to have to go to the T-Mobile store or somehow get yourself a SIM because you can't just switch them out like I'm used to doing.
Yeah, I actually did that. I ordered a SIM online, but I ordered a regular SIM and went to the local T-Mobile store. I told them, and they're like, "No problem." They just took my SIM and punched it out. And
is it a different size SIM, or is it a?
It's a different size.
It's a new smaller one, right? Yeah. I've heard about this. Yeah. So cool.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on your new Nexus 4. It sounds like people that are wanting the Nexus 4 are actually getting it now, so that's a good thing. That couldn't be said when it initially launched. Congratulations. You win.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're shipping now, even though Google's not mentioning that. So they might still have you thinking it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, and then it's just going to show up on your doorstep is what I've heard is happening.
And is that better? Is that like more of a like
better.
happily surprise? Oh, it's here sooner.
It would be worse obviously if it was the other. They tell you you're going to have it in 5 days, and you end up getting it in 2 weeks.
I got it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
See, right off the bat, you're like, yes,
right. And I mean, I ordered the Lumia 920 from AT&T. I'm not even on AT&T anymore. I don't have phone, so like they haven't even shipped it. It's been 6 weeks. Thanks, AT&T.
Well, sayonara, AT&T, it sounds like, so it doesn't matter. Right on. Well, congratulations. Thank you for doing the unbox and waiting all day to do the unboxing of the Nexus 4. It's cool to see it in person. You win the internet, Tony Wang.
Look, he's just like, yeah, whatever.
What did you say?
Sorry.
Oh, wait a minute. We're doing a show. Oh, wow. Okay, well, moving on from the Nexus 4 to probably one of the even more popular tablets in the history of the world, the Nabi 2. Cricket. No, I'm actually interested to talk about this tablet. It's a kid-focused tablet. And Michael, you said that you actually picked up one of these. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I have it here. I, as you, Jason, have a young daughter who is constantly using my tablet, and I thought, what a great way to get her something that might be kid-centric and specific to her needs. So I went ahead and picked it up. I just got it yesterday, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with it yet.
It's $200, right?
Yeah, it's $200, and essentially it's like a souped-down Nexus 7. So it has a Tegra 3 processor. The screen is much worse than the Nexus 7, which is probably one of the biggest drawbacks. It has the same amount of RAM, 1 gig of RAM, and a much smaller battery. For the most part, it's very similar to a Nexus 7, but not quite as good.
So, but it has a more kid kind of focused front end to it or skin to it.
Yeah, that's my question. Not as good as the Nexus 7 for you or for a child?
Okay, well, let's get into that a little bit, and I'll tell you why I think it's not as good, and maybe some things that are better. So the first thing I noticed, the hardware is pretty beefy. So they've got on their website, they've got, it comes with this big bumper, and they've got a drop test on it that, it is going to be much more robust than a Nexus 7, which is great for kid-friendly. But there's some big drawbacks to it. I think the two biggest ones that I found are the screen. The screen is just not very good on this. It has a resolution of 1024 by 600, which puts it at like an MDPI resolution of, in the Android world. And that's compared to 1280 by 800 on the Nexus 7, which is much better. I'm not particularly critical on screens myself, and I'm sure that my daughter won't notice it, but I can really tell the difference just looking at it. The screen is not nearly as crisp, and you can see a lot of pixelation, and it's just not a great screen. And that's consistent with a lot of reviewers. I was wondering where they were going to save their money, and that's clearly one of the areas.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I can totally understand that. Having said that, there have been multiple times where I go on YouTube because, my daughter finds my laptop and she wants to find Mickey Mouse on YouTube. Yes, there's Mickey Mouse on YouTube. Don't judge me.
No, I'm just glad she found the Mickey Mouse and not the other things on YouTube.
Well, yes. I mean, she doesn't know how to use a mouse pad, thankfully, to figure that out. But, and I watch it and I'm just like, wow, that quality is really bad. She doesn't care.
Nope.
It's a talking mouse jumping around the screen. She could care less. So yeah, it's definitely good to compare the two. But if that's how they save the money, the kids probably aren't going to go, well, that's not, super HD resolution display.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say. If they want to make it a low price thing, they got to cut corners somewhere. I'd rather see it cut corners on display than battery life.
Or storage, because if it's a kid's thing, you might want to. Actually, that's a good question. What is the storage on this thing?
So the storage is 8 gigabytes, and it actually comes with, it allows you to put an SD card in. So that's actually a bonus to the Nexus 7, which is not expandable.
Absolutely.
And my 8 gig is definitely too small for me.
Yeah.
One other thing I would mention that's, again, something that I noticed coming from the Nexus 7, and I use the Nexus 7, all the time, is the weight of this thing. It's almost twice as heavy as the Nexus 7. So this weighs in at 1.3 pounds. And the Nexus 7 is 0.7 pounds. So it's almost twice as heavy.
Yeah, and that kind of is a big deal, depending on how young the kid is that you're giving this to. That could.
I imagine a lot of that might have come in the hardening of the device. I'm sure they built it to be drop resistant and things like that, and that's probably the cost you pay for added weight.
Yeah, and I mean, having said that, the Nexus 7 isn't necessarily heavy. Like my daughter, she's 3 years old. She can pick that up fine. I'm sure. Doubling the weight of that tablet probably wouldn't keep her from picking it up because it has the cool thing that she wants to look at right now.
And that is about the weight of the of an iPad 3. I think an iPad 3 is right around that 1.3 pounds. So
ultimately on this thing, I'm curious about this. Just from the presentation, the ease of use for a kid that's maybe a little bit older than my daughter. I'm not buying her a tablet yet. That's too early, too soon. But she's only 3. But the ease of use for a kid to kind of get through there. The durability is important because kids are probably going to drop this, almost guaranteed. Those are the important things.
Don't underestimate the 3-year-olds. I mean, I've seen
No, I don't underestimate her at all. I'm not sure I need her locked into a tablet 24/7. I've seen
an 18-month-year-old grab a tablet, go to videos, pull up Yo Gabba Gabba, and scrub to the scene they want to see.
No. And Lucy has demonstrated the capability of all of that.
Good. But I
just don't know if I necessarily want her locked into a tablet all the time, or that to be her first choice. Yeah.
And I want to come back to what you just said because and we could probably close it off with that. It's the final, criticism of this is I was hoping the parental controls would be better.
Yeah.
Basically, they provide a lot of. You can only put certain apps on the device, things like that. But there's no parental control that you could specify only a certain amount of use you can use it. Or, what I'd love to be able to do is say if you want to play these educational apps for a half hour, you could earn a half an hour of Netflix credit or something like that.
That's a cool idea. Yeah.
Or at a minimum, turn the device off after 30 minutes. Say, you have 30 minutes to watch Netflix. And it doesn't provide any of that. So, and that's what I was really hoping for is a way to, parental control and really be able to lock down the device.
Yeah, no kidding. I would imagine that would be there.
And it's not great with that.
Okay.
There are some parental controls, but not as robust as I would like.
Well, just kind of definitely related. Consumer Reports finds the Nabi 2 is the best tablet for children this holiday season, just so you know.
There you go.
I don't know if that just means the landscape isn't that great, but
well, yeah, I mean, and that's an interesting point about the parental controls and like an auto turn off and things like that. I mean, it's interesting to see if they're just building the hardware and then depending on the software developers come up, that would be a great little feature to have native to the device, I would think, right? So.
Totally. Well, we're actually going to talk a little bit more about that kind of stuff in the apps section. But before we get there, let's take a quick email from Chris Larson. Says, I don't know if you saw this, and I definitely didn't because I uninstalled the Amazon App Store. It says, but the most recent Amazon App Store update now allows you to remove previously purchased apps from the Cloud tab. I've downloaded a lot of free apps of the day and haven't kept most of them around, so the ability to unclutter the App Store interface is a welcome one. And I can definitely second that emotion. When I had the Amazon App Store and I was getting every single app of the day, quickly that list became super huge, and I'd say 98% of those apps I would probably have never used again, so uncluttering it would be welcome.
I put this sort of thing under the same category of, oh, that's nice, I'll do that when I have time.
Yeah. No.
Never gonna have time.
Not important enough to make time for that.
Not important enough. I mean, hey, if I can't get all the album art on my MP3s organized and loaded and everything, I'm not going to do this. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, time is our enemy. But it's a good feature to have, so that's good.
True.
So,
it's true. It's nice to have that. All right. Let's dive into the apps.
So you might have remembered a while back when Google purchased Snapseed, which was a very popular photo editing app for iOS. Well, Snapseed has gone into Google, and now it's come back out, and we finally get an Android version of it.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so now it's available on Android in the Play Store. The photo editing app. I haven't got a chance to play with it or compare it to its iOS counterpart, but I'm pretty sure that they did its best to port over the same functionality and the same photo editing abilities. At the same time, they made version 1.5 of Snapseed for iOS free rather than charging for it, so falling under the whole Google kind of mandate of things. So it's free on iOS, free on Android, and now it's Google making a play at the photo editor. And Jason's got it here for us to see.
Yeah, when it came out, I opened it up. I wasn't aware of it on iOS. I don't have an iOS device, but I mean, there's just something very cool about this app. I was playing with it on the DNA, so now I'm getting all of the kind of like tool tips every time I do something. But you click and go up and down to select kind of the different types of options based on the filter or the edit function that you've called up, and then left to right actually increases whatever the effect is. It's a very intuitive interface, but it did take me just a few times to kind of get used to kind of the different things. Of course, like I said, the tool tips will kind of guide you through it a little bit, but you can see, I don't know if you can see that, like contrast, texture strength.
That's a cool interface. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Brightness, style. So I could do style, and then moving it around kind of changes the different, in this particular grunge filter setting, changes kind of the hue of it. But yeah, it was really cool. I took some of the photos that I snapped on the Droid DNA, which by the way has a great camera, I thought, and took some really cool photos, and I made them really awesome with this app. And I don't know, sometimes these filter apps just kind of seem a little gimmicky to me,
trendy, and
a little bit. But in that case, I was really impressed with what I ended up with on the other side. It's not as much like, I think with Instagram, sometimes it's here's 12 filters and one of them will work for you. Yep. Here you get a lot more kind of customizability without it seeming so overwhelming that you're never going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is, what people don't realize is that sometimes those filters, while they're great for quick looks or anything like that, you can get a lot out of tweaking a photo by just adjusting the brightness or adjusting the lightness, or breaking it a little darker and things like that. So you don't always need the full like retro 70s photo filter. Like you can just do a couple little tweaks to make the blues pop and that sort of thing to make your photos look that much better. I think it's probably interesting also to note, you mentioned Instagram, but the news that Instagram has a new filter. I don't know, all the Instagram people freaking out that the Willow filter is out now, and I'm unimpressed over it. So,
I missed that one.
Yeah.
Sorry. What were you going to say, Michael?
Oh, no.
Cywism in the chat room corrected. It's not just a filter app. It is a photo editor.
It's a true photo editor.
It's a true photo editor.
Yeah, exactly.
It has cropping capabilities, straightening, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. No, I mean, it is. All the filters and stuff are neat, but it's definitely up there with the Photoshops and the Pixlr Express, like the one I showed the other day that allows you to have a lot of control over your photos. So.
Yeah, it's cool though. I really like the interface, and if you haven't checked it out, do Snapseed for Android.
And now that it's on Google, it's interesting to see how is it going to get implemented into other, are we going to see it, shipping with phones, or that sort of thing.
They just shipped in 4.2 all the filters.
Yeah,
it was it's a brand new to the 4.2 camera, so that they're thinking about it.
Well, and not to mention, we were talking during the Larry Page interview section about the integration with Google+. This actually, here, I'll pull it up real quick. This has, obviously, most photo apps on Android, you can share to anything that's shareable that enables that in their app. But in Snapseed, there's a button at the very top that's Google+.
Yeah.
If I click that, it saves the image and gives me an option to share it directly to Google+ without that menu. Well, normally it does. I don't know. Did it just share that? Okay. I was like, did I just share that demo image?
It's a little slow.
But you don't have to go through the menu. It's like, no, we think that the place you're going to want to share this is Google+, and here's one button that takes you directly there to do it.
Makes sense.
And I think that's the first time I've seen that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This kind of an app. But it certainly, it inspired me to share a couple of photos on Google+, and I wouldn't say I normally do that. So
Snapseed.
It was there, and it was easy. All right, so I promised a few minutes ago, in fact, that we were going to talk a little bit more about kids stuff on Android. And that's just because we have kind of a trifecta of app update in this app section that all have to do with kids, so why not? And Michael, you were the one that alerted me to this first one, and I went searching online. I could not find any news stories. Is it possible that this Netflix for kids rolled out to Google TV and it hasn't been covered yet?
I'm not really sure, because I looked too after I saw you put those comments in the show notes. I definitely have it, and the interesting thing about the update is that I did not get an app update. It just my suspicion is they may use a web view or something for their app instead of, edit links.
I feel like this happened a while ago on Google TV. Because I distinctly because it happened recently on iPad, and that's what got a lot of the press. But I distinctly remember weeks, if not months ago, opening up the Netflix app on my Google TV and getting a, what kind of experience do you want? Do you want kids or adults? And I chose, well, not adults, but like,
do you want the adult Netflix?
Yeah, it's like, oh,
After dark.
I lowered the lights and we got a little comfortable. And but I remember the screen where there was two things, and I chose adults, and I haven't gone back to look for it. But I think they rolled it on Google TV way before they rolled it on the iPad.
So interestingly enough, I saw it on my TV, and I have the Logitech review. So this isn't. It was actually on the Vizio CoStar when I got it. It came with that. But anyway, just a few weeks ago, I saw the kids. I saw that same screen. I was like, great, awesome, it's here. And then I didn't see it again for maybe 2 months. And then just this week, it's showing up, and it's there all the time now, and it's great.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I know, I have a PS3, and that's where we do most of our media streaming. And that is awesome. That's definitely one of the main reasons we have Netflix right now. And that kid interface, it's just amazing how intuitive for kids, like how enjoyable it is for a kid to be able to navigate through an experience like that. And just go, that picture right there. And it's like they have control, or they have some sort of control over how it's being picked.
It's freaky. I got last year Christmas, I got my sister, my brother-in-law, my nieces a Google TV. And they recently just moved a couple of weeks ago. And I was back in New York, and I was at their house helping them pack up. And my 6-year-old niece was asking me, and she's like, when we move, will Netflix work? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, yeah, of course it'll Netflix. She's like, okay, yeah, I can't live without Netflix. And then I watch her go to the couch, grab that Sony remote, and not even the kids' version of Netflix, go to the Netflix app, go to whatever dumb show she was watching, and load it up. And like, it was 6 years old. Like, it blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. And now it's like, to her, it's just another channel. It's like, oh, I want to watch Disney, I want to watch Nickelodeon, put on Netflix.
Right.
It's fascinating.
Totally. Related along these lines, Hulu added a dedicated kids section. There we go. And so, they have, a kids lock feature that allows parents to kind of restrict access to kids-only content on their devices. So that's cool. I love that companies are doing this. And then finally, Amazon introduced last week, possibly before our last show, we just didn't talk about it, the Kindle Freetime Unlimited, which I thought was kind of interesting. It's a service that is $3 per month for a child, or $7 per month for the whole family for Prime customers. And then non-Prime customers can actually get it for $5 a month per child, or $10 for the whole family. But basically, it's an all-you-can-eat plan. Books, games, educational software, movies, TV shows, all just for kids. It's disabled all in-app payments, ads, social media links, references, and it's just basically a way to hand a kid your Kindle Fire and put it in this mode and just say, all right, go nuts.
It is, honestly, I think this is one of the best moves Amazon has made, especially coming right before the holidays. I think this is a genius program because what it is, like you said, it's that all-you-can-eat subscription model. Each of the content providers are getting a cut. Amazon has their arcane methods of doing revenue shares and things like that. So they get a cut of it, and then you just give it to the kid, let them use it, and don't worry about it.
Yep.
Like, that's great. And the content that we talked about the power of Amazon and the Kindle Fire, and this is the power, because this is harnessing that content, all those content providers. So you've got books, video, games, all this stuff. Kids for $3.99 a month. Kids will watch the same thing over and over again. Like I watch a movie once and I'm done. I'm not going to watch it again, right? But I've seen it happen where kids just watch that same Dora the Explorer episode over and over again.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
I think if I had a kid, I would. Yeah, you've seen it. If I had a kid, I would do this in a second. I think this is great.
So it's interesting because that's Nabi's model. Also, they have a subscription service that's built in. I don't remember what they call it. That's $3 a month, unlimited for basically the same sort of content. So it definitely makes sense, and it probably makes sense to go the Amazon route and not have a custom device and all those things. And also, furthermore, be making all your purchases in the Amazon infrastructure and ecosystem, which will be enabled on lots more devices and things. So it seems like a really smart idea.
Yeah, and this actually, real quick before we bore all the people that do not care at all about kids apps and hardware for Android, but the Amazon solution does have kind of the timing restrictions that you were talking about a little bit about wanting with the Nabi. And you can, I think, set that on a type of media basis. So you could say 30 minutes of video, but an hour of educational stuff or books or whatever the case may be. So very cool stuff, and I think it's a perfect hook into the Amazon ecosystem. It's making me wish I hadn't bricked my wife's Kindle Fire because she now has the 7, and if we still had that, I would consider kind of making that my daughter's tablet, but still only allowing her to use it very briefly. All right, let's be done talking about kids, even though I could do it all day. Ron.
Yes. So we got our good friends over at SwiftKey, was it 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, hooked us up with the SwiftKey Flow beta. Before it got released. And for those of you who don't know what SwiftKey is a keyboard replacement application. We've had Joe on the show, Joe Braidwood, who's awesome. And I was previously a big user of Swipe. And then with the latest version of Android with Jelly Bean, we've got the Google's implemented a Swipe-like interface. Now SwiftKey gets in the game with SwiftKey Flow. And it was funny because I remember when Joe was on and we were talking about that, and he hinted that they had stuff up their sleeves and they were working on stuff. And let me tell you, after playing with SwiftKey Flow for a couple of days, changed my default keyboard to SwiftKey Flow, and I'm totally hooked. And I tweeted it. It is the real deal. From the interface itself, look at here's Jason typing with it, and look at giving an approach to the graphical representation of the flow. It's really elegant. It's really nice. But it combines the predictive nature of SwiftKey, what made SwiftKey so unique from the other keyboard replacement apps, and added in that touch swiping or flow model of typing. It's been great. I switched over to SwiftKey and I haven't looked back. So
there we go. No, I totally agree. It's great. The one thing I really miss after the Jelly Bean one is the right above the finger thing. It's
the innovation Google brought.
Surprising to me how used to that I got. It's because it's right there wherever your eyeballs are at that particular moment, and looking over at the suggestion bar on SwiftKey Flow actually is a little bit of a distraction versus the other solution.
What I think is really interesting about it is that there were aspects of because I was using the stock Jelly Bean keyboard now that they had the swiping capability, but the organization of the buttons on that, I constantly would hit the mic button when I was typing by mistake. So SwiftKey has a different layout. It's taken some getting used to. I know I was frantically trying to find the % symbol the other day, and I just couldn't find it on the keyboard where it was. But I found that, while I agree with you, the prediction of the word that you're swiping appearing above your thumb is great. The things that SwiftKey brings to the table in terms of predicting what I'm going to say. So not even predicting what the word is, predicting what the next word is, which I've been totally impressed by. And then having the different keyboard layouts, the different skins, it truly is almost like a power user keyboard. So really, really impressed by it.
Now, it's a beta that we're talking about right now, but they have confirmed on Twitter that Flow will be an upgrade to 3. So if you have bought the version 3, you're going to get Flow in that update, which I was really happy to hear.
Is the beta just available for download on their website, or do you have to be part of a beta group?
You have to be part of their beta group. I think, though, you can just sign up through their forum site. There must be a link.
We have a link. We'll put a link in the show notes, but the link we have here from the SwiftKey blog, there's just a link to register for the SwiftKey Flow beta there. So, Chad, if you just pull that up, I don't know if you have that. Yeah. No, Aaron, 1 second. Oh, no, I see. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's in there. But
here you go, Chad. But yeah, so you can get it from them. But then that was the point I made to you last week when we were talking about it, is that for those people without Jelly Bean, this is a great way to get swiping capability before it's native. So,
you could always do that with Swipe.
Well, you could do it with Swipe, but you get plus the added benefit of SwiftKey. So I was very impressed. But
all right, so I put it in the chat on the show notes. So twit.tv/AAA89, there will be a link to show notes, and you can find the beta link.
Yeah, and if you just go to SwiftKey's website, swiftKey.net, and pull up their blog, it's one of the most recent posts there. So,
all right. Real quick, because I know we want to get to the arena, and I don't want your battery to. How are you doing on battery, by the way?
I'm 18%. I'm good.
All right.
You're good. Okay. So real quick email from Stuart in San Diego. This is a question we get all the time, and I spent a little bit of time on this. Essentially, Stuart is wondering, Flash went away on newer versions of Android. It's harder and harder to get that installed on your device. How do we get awesome TWiT video content live streamed to the device? So there are a couple of options. There are some TWiT apps. They're not official apps necessarily, but there are some TWiT apps that might, say that they can do this with varying degrees of quality and a capability. But here are a couple of options that I found. First of all, we stream all of our stuff to Ustream. And if you go to the Play Store and download the Ustream app, you will almost always find, because we're always live in the popular channels, we're like right at the top, and you can stream it. The problem you might run into there is that our streams apparently aren't ideal, or there must be some sort of setting that says that it's not optimized for mobile. I let our team know about it earlier today when I discovered this. You hear everything, but the video kind of stutters a little bit as you're watching. It could be different on different devices and work perfectly for you. But that's one way to do it. You don't need Flash installed. You do it through the Ustream site or the Ustream app, and it'll stream it fine. The other way to do it, and this is actually the cool way, but a little bit on the geekier side, I have a link in the show notes to linuxgamecast.com that has an article about watching TWiT live on Android without Flash using VLC beta. Now, there are VLC nightlies. You download the nightly APK because there's a version of VLC beta on the Play Store, but it doesn't work for most devices right now. So just go and get the nightly for your device, and you copy the URL that's in this walkthrough for our bit gravity streams, and you just throw it into VLC.
It's the pure stream, right?
A location. Yeah. It's a pure stream. I'll see if I can show you real quick. Here, so let's see here. So VLC up at the top. We'll load it. I'm hoping that it's just tied right in because I had just done it a little bit earlier, and probably very soon. Let's see here. Here, let me go back here because I think because I was already in it, it was like locked in it. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to hope that my URL is still there. It is. Open. Now it's going to search, and eventually it's going to pop on our.
Oh, weird.
Now it's going to search. Everything we say is going to.
Oh, there we go. There it is.
Infinity mirror. There we are. Okay, so there you go. Live TWiT streaming to my device. It's the strangest example.
Oh, that's so cool.
Infinity phone. Excellent.
Sorry. Look how far your volume thing just keeps going.
I know, right? Ron is amused. Ron is amused.
Technology's funny.
There you go.
Oh, there I am.
All right, very meta. But there you go. The walkthrough I have in the show notes. Again, twit.tv/AAA. There will be walkthrough in the links. And that works. It's maybe not the most straightforward way of doing this, but it works. And you could, once you load that link in, hopefully, I don't know, maybe it has it in the history. It didn't in this case. So maybe it's a little bit, trickier. You'll have to come up with something around it, but it works.
Someone in the chat room made the requisite Spaceballs joke with this from space when they're looking in the monitor now,
yes.
And they're
it's now. You're looking at that. Yeah, totally. I need to watch that again. So before we get into the arena, real quick, want to thank a new sponsor to the show, Bespoke Post, which is a product subscription service for men. That's right. You, not you. I'm sorry. But you. Yes, definitely you. Each month, Bespoke Post sends an exclusive package with products ranging from gadgets to accessories and so much more. This one, I'm sure you've seen other shows that Leo has been on. He's opened this one a few times this last week. So I've got slim pickings, but there was some really cool stuff in here when it first came. Let's see if I can open this up. I tried to repackage it so it looked all new, but
fancy.
With varying degrees. So this is like a cheesecloth and a slate, which could be used as a cheese cutter, I think is what they intended. Really nice slate that you can also, actually, there's a little chalk in there so you can, like, if you have a special type of cheese, you can write on it and say, nice. This is
Gouda.
This is the delectable Monterey Jack. Old Town Oil, Chicago. It's just a bunch of, I guess this one was full of a lot of edibles like Buffalo Trace Bourbon Brittle. Ooh. And on today's GizWiz, Leo said, well, I already ate most of it, but you can have the rest of it. But looking at it up close, it has a few fingerprints on it, so I'm going to go ahead and pass. But I'm sure it's delicious.
I'm sure it's
delicious. It's just, Leo's had his fingers on this probably 3 different shows. So anyways, sorry, Leo, I love you. Some more oils, just a whole lot of cool stuff. There's a gift certificate in here. And basically the thing with Bespoke Post is because it's a subscription club, essentially every month you end up getting a box full of cool stuff.
Well, as it says on the side of the box.
Oh, yes. That's probably important.
It is truly a box of awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is a box of awesome. So think of it this way. It's the holidays. You don't know what to buy that special guy in your life or the special person who would enjoy this kind of stuff. You don't know what to get. Just get him a box of awesome. And I think that's a great way to go.
Who doesn't want a box of awesome?
I would love a box of awesome. Yeah. Honestly, if you aren't expecting many gifts for the holidays, sign up for it, forget about it, and then suddenly you just got yourself a pretty awesome gift.
There you go. That's smart.
You can sign up now and receive 20% off of your first month's subscription of $45 at bespokepost.com/twit. That's bespokepost.com/twit. Receive 20% off your first month's subscription. And pretty cool stuff. They send some awesome stuff. Like I said, gadgets, accessories,
coffee,
foods,
cocktails,
coffee stuff,
yes, shaving stuff.
Totally,
the high-end shaving stuff. That's where it's at. Like the nice shaving cream.
Yes.
Stuff like,
some of the things that was missing from that box was sausage. Okra. It was like this really spicy, cool, like whole okra that had been like pickled. It was really cool. So.
I wish you hadn't told me this, Chad.
I know. Well, it's just there's more that came. I mean, there's a whole list in there.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll let you know before they send it.
Yeah.
What's in there?
That's very cool. What does the list say?
Well, this is just about the slate.
This is about the slate.
Sedimentary rock lays the foundation. Oil and balsamic imported from. Oh, I see. Oil and balsamic imported from small family farms in Italy. Smoked okra, heritage pork. Man. I wish this would have came and we were the first ones to open it.
Yeah, because I would have been all over that sausage.
I'd be eating dinner right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. But that looks very cool. I'm considering that for the holidays.
Excellent. Bespokepost.com/twit.
And you get 20% off.
20% off. Do it. All right. And without further ado, let's get into the arena.
2 enter, 1 lives. Android Arena.
Man, this arena was another
nail
inches.
biter. What?
Yeah. Inches.
Yeah, these are really close. I'm starting to wonder on these.
And I seriously thought after the unwarm reception Falcon Pro got during the show, I saw a lot of comments on Twitter about people liking it and digging it. I am very surprised that it was this competitive.
It was winning earlier.
Yeah. Was it winning earlier?
Mm-hmm. But by a small
so
margin.
That's like 2 or 3 weeks in a row where there's been a distinct adjacent sector that bursts right before the show starts.
Telling you guys, if there's something going on, please don't make things go on. However, if this is how
you
you're
want to wake me up. You do not want to. You don't want to poke this bear, people. Trust me. No, I'm just teasing.
All right. Well, I don't know what to go on here. It says Jet Set Radio wins a close first at 35%, Falcon Pro second at 33%, geocaching third place at 32%, possibly our closest poll ever.
That was very, very close of all 3 participants being involved. I will have a follow-up note to after a week of using Falcon Pro, and Jason can attest to this. It is now my default Twitter app. You can see it's in my.
I see it down.
You all can see it in my tray. It's right there next to Chrome. So I've used it for a week. It's really, really good. It's not perfect. I found that the no auto to the top.
Oh yeah, that would be one for sure.
And although the official Twitter app doesn't have it either, but for some reason on Falcon, because the design is a little wider, like when I've got 300 tweets that I've got to go through, like I'm there spinning, I've gotten very used to just the double tap on Instagram or on Path to jump to the top. If they added that, I would be over the moon about it. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, and it does have that tweet marker capability. If that's off, does that just pop you at the top automatically?
I haven't tried that. That's a good point.
That might do it if that's
But I like
off.
the tweet marker, though.
Yeah, but I understand. If you're down at the bottom and then you want to jump to the top, that's hard.
But it's been great. It's been great to use. I figured out the retweet. You can do a native retweet or you can do an edited retweet. That took a second to figure out, but it's good. So
excellent.
I know how much everybody loves the Twitter talk. So
I can tell you, Rec in the chat room loves the Twitter talk.
That's what.
All right. Well, let's have an arena. Starting with you, Ron.
All right. So I've talked about as we talk about our wheelhouse of apps, like what kind of apps we're interested in. Whenever there is a cooking app or a food app or something like that, it always catches my eye and I look for it. And I recently found a new app called Foodster, which has got to go in the category of one of the prettiest little apps you've ever seen. Really showing what can be done with the platform with good design. And basically, Foodster is in a nutshell, it is a recipe search engine almost. You could say that. When you load it up, you get a bunch of these neat little tiles that show you recent recipes. You get a section that's hot this week, or you can see recipes that are trending. I don't know what they're basing the trending on, but still they're there. And then you can see hot this month, so which recipes people are liking. So if you just want to browse, it's a very pretty kind of interface there. What you can do is when you find something that you like here's a great standing rib roast. I'm going to click on that. And it gives me this beautiful view of the dish as well as a list of ingredients, where the source of it came from. Because if you're like me, I look for recipes online all the time. And there are so many food blogs and cooking blogs and people who are putting up great recipes. And there's really no way to find them. I mean, I use Google and I just type in, I've got pancetta and I've got Brussels sprouts. What can I do? And I go through and you're hunting and pecking, and it's much like the hunter and gatherers of the prehistoric age, but on the digital landscape. So Foodster allows you to get to the recipes much more quicker. So going back to the app in that example, if you go up here along here on the top, there is a neat little navigation bar. And you could just search for a recipe. So if you know what you want to look for, you can just search for it. But what I think is great is what often happens to me, which is you can enter in 3 different ingredients and then do a search based off that. So I can say, okay, I've got bacon, and I've got what's another one? I've got tomatoes. What can I make with that? And I can spell tomatoes wrong. And I can search it, and it will give me recipes that feature those ingredients. So here I've got a bacon double cheeseburger soup. Bacon guacamole, BLT lettuce wrap, all these various things. Ultimate sriracha burger. So if I see one that I like, and then it crashes. Hey, good times. Oh, but then it reboots. So there you go. So once you find a recipe that you like, what you can do is you can star it. And in this section, it's easy to get to from the main menu navigation. It's your little folder. And you can go through and you can see all of the recipes that I've starred so far. And you can also add labels. So if you want to add, Christmas dinner or birthday dinner or any sort of special label or tag that you want to put to it. But so I'm going to go to, orzo carbonara style. I'm a big orzo fan. What's great about this is that, so I get the list of ingredients. I can hit save ingredients and it will add it to my shopping list. And so now if I go back to the app, and I go on my shopping list, it will give me a grocery list that is populated with all the various items that I might need. So this is a great way, I'm often running to the store trying to remember what I need. I just throw my tablet in my back pocket or sync it, throw it on my phone, and you can go to the grocery store and you get exactly what you need. My only, and in all fairness and all this sort of thing, my only complaint about it is that it doesn't actually house the steps to make the recipe. When you're on the recipe card itself, which looks beautiful, which looks great, all you can do is save the ingredients, you can star it, or go to the instructions, and it basically launches you into a browser and goes to the food blog where the recipe came from. If it would pull in those instructions, that would be great, except for the fact that I kind of understand why they're doing this, because they're sending traffic to these food blogs, as well as a lot of times the formatting is different and you can't get, it's not a true, kind of common experience across all these different kind of food blogs. And they've got a ton of sources. You can look right here. I mean, this recipe for spaghetti and meatballs came from the Pioneer Woman, and she's got 519 recipes on her site. So if you look at it less as a recipe app and more as a recipe search engine, it's a great way to look at it, and it's beautiful. I mean, it uses photography, it uses the interface. It's got enough of the Android OS kind of interaction stuff, so it stays common with the apps that we're used to. But then also looks, has its own look and feel to it. So I've already used it to make dinner a couple of times to search for stuff. Foodster is $2.49 in the App Store. Great design, and if you're into cooking and stuff like that, I think this is a definitely one to add to your repertoire. So Foodster.
Now, in the past, you covered an app called Goji, right?
Correct. That was
how does this compare to Goji?
I no longer use Goji. Not that I don't like it, but I reviewed it and whatever. But I've been using Foodster ever since. So yeah, very similar to Goji, but I kind of like this one a little better. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. I like the interaction.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome. That is Foodster, which makes me think of Napster for some reason.
Yeah, well, it's the
not
stir.
A food sharing site. Is
yeah,
it?
I mean, like it seems like they're definitely.
I guess it kind of is.
Food, yeah, well, it kind of is actually. Yeah,
actually, that would be the best peer-to-peer service ever.
It really would. They're called restaurants.
Sharing meals. Yes, that's true. All right, Michael, it is your turn. I have your app installed on my device, so go ahead and talk about it, and I'll do my best to show it off and stay alive.
Okay, cool. So it should be pretty easy. So I was thinking when I wanted to come up with apps of what I tend to come back to the most, like the apps that I use all the time and that I really seem to love. One of them that I came back to was an app called Diversion, which is like a simple one-touch jump game that I've been playing forever. Actually, me and my daughter play it together, and it's just simple enough that you can play it and you can pick it up quickly. And it's also simple enough that, a 4-year-old can do it. So that's developed by a developer called ezone.com, and they just released something called Team Awesome Free, which is free with ad support, or Team Awesome, which is 99 cents to remove the ads. So as you can see, it's basically just a simple one-touch game. Basically, you're the superhero, and you press on your screen to either jump or fly. Then you pick up coins and avoid obstacles, or bump into other people. There's all sorts of different things. What I really love about the game is the graphics are really fun and amusing. The voiceovers are really fun and amusing. It's got a really kind of comedy element to it. But you would think that these one-touch games might get old or get redundant. It's amazing how much different variety they build into the game to keep things interesting. There's all sorts of power-ups, all sorts of different environments that you have to do different things to pass through. It's just a really fun game. It's really well done. And the reason that I picked it for my arena entry is because it's just the kind of game that anybody can pick up, play really quickly, get some good enjoyment out of it, but it's not, these involved games that you really have to learn and play regularly. It's just a great little time waster.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I like this.
Never mind.
I like the simplicity of the game, and also that angle that's an interesting, view angle.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
it really changes. It really changes throughout the game. The view angles. So that it's really cinematic and it really keeps things interesting. And you'd be surprised how much one touch can really translate into a game that's really fun and keeps you engaged.
Man, it really looks like this game is early on as far as release. Not a huge amount of reviews and everything. The quality of it is
1,000 to 5,000 installs. That's it. Look at that spike, though.
Just released.
It's going to take off.
Yeah, but the developer themselves, like Diversion, which is their most popular game, or Crazy Snowboard has millions and millions of downloads. So
no, that's what I mean. I don't doubt that this is kind of at the very beginning of a big trajectory up, because it's a lot of fun. The graphics are great. Obviously the gameplay is one touch, so it's very easy to pick up, but it kind of has also that its hooks into kind of the old school gaming with the sound effects and everything.
Right. And it is cool. Easy to pick up, but it is hard to master. It really is challenging, and it does keep you interested.
Awesome. And that's the name of it. It's Team Awesome. So
yes,
I can say awesome, and it's also a plug. So there you go. That is Team Awesome. Find it. It's free, and there is a paid version of it as well, or there will be.
There is a paid version now. It's 99 cents, and I think the only difference is ads. Yeah,
you know what? It looks like it's probably an in-app purchase, which actually is a really good aside real quick. Yep. What do you think about that? The in-app removal of ads. I actually really like that because it keeps the listing in the Play Store to just one app instead of two.
I really like it, and I like it because you're using the game, and then you play the game, and I'll chip in. I want to get rid of the ads. I did it for Angry Birds Space. I upgraded within the app to the paid version. I think it's a good execution.
Oh, they do have it. Never mind.
Oh well.
Thank you, Chad, for shattering my dreams.
Oh, it's too bad. Someday someone will do that. Just that for you.
Didn't come up.
But I think it's great. I think it's a good option.
I do like it when they do that though, because then it's not as cluttery in the Play Store. But apparently that doesn't apply here. Okay, Chad. Thanks for pointing that out for me, by the way.
No problem. I didn't know if I should say it or just visually just be like, oh, by the way, Jason.
No, don't worry. If you hadn't, Eric Duckman in the chat room obviously was going to. Good. There we go. What do you have for us?
Well, I have something that I enjoy an awful lot, and that happens to be what you're doing right now.
There you go.
And what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I already finished. The show's been a little bit long, but which is socially drinking, right? We all like to go out.
Wait a minute. Are you 21?
I am. It's weird. You'd think that I was 18, but no. So this is a app called Untapped, and what the idea is, you can, like, when it was first explained to me, it's like Foursquare but for beer. And so what you're going to do is you're going to route cameras to yourself so that people can see your app.
If you need to show somebody drinking beer, you can just cut to it.
Okay, cool. I'll do that every once in a while in the review, just like that. So you're going to open up the app, and there's a few different things that you can do in here. You can either the pub tab is sort of your friends list. So I've added a few friends so I can see what they're drinking, what bars they've been to, what things that they enjoy drinking. So it could just be friends, it can be global, or it can be say I'm looking for a bar nearby or a certain type of or what's sort of the buzz around town I can do nearby. Next is discover. And so I can see trending beers, things that are becoming popular right now, what might be around, that sort of thing. There's my tab, which shows the drinks that I've reviewed or had before, or same thing with photos. I tend to take these nice upper shot photos because everyone takes down shots of their beers. But anyway, and then there's
to make the beer look huge,
right? Exactly. And so I have some friend requests, and then I have some notices. Now, of course, what you're going to use this for is to drink up. So you just hit that tab, then you type in what you're looking for. The coolest thing about this is it has about every beer I have ever had. It's having a hard time doing my location because I turned off my GPS. But so this is the Anchor Steam Christmas Brew. So I can either try the voice search. Oops,
and the keyboard's busted.
Yeah, let me go to my thing, and there we go. And let's just search for Anchor Steam Christmas 2012. And let's see what it finds. I have not tried this beer before, so we will see how good it is at bringing it up. Let me don't see your beer. So I can add it, or sometimes you have to do
Christmas brew, it's a seasonal
Christmas
thing.
brew. Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Anchor Steam Brewing. Let's just try Anchor Steam 2012. Fail. Yeah, right. Fail. Here's the thing: I don't see your beer. So let me show you some of the beers that it has found in the past. So my beer list, it found a Mokeef Saison from Anderson Valley Brewing Company. It found an American Wheat from 3rd Street Ale Works, which is a single brewer in where is it? San Rafael above us, and then Redemption, which is from Russian River Brewing Company, which is another just single brewer up in San Rafael.
I love Russian River Brewing.
Right, exactly. And so you know that these are craft beers that aren't widely available, that they sell a few kegs a year. It also found there was a hen house something or another, and it found that. So I'm incredibly, in fact, if I was to noodle around and search a few more times for the official name of whatever this is, it's Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Yeah, I'm still looking, but it would probably be able to find it. The other cool thing that I really like about this app is that once unfortunately, because it didn't find my beer, let's just say that let me check back into this Redemption beer.
A really rare Heineken.
A rare Heineken?
No, I'm just kidding. Do whatever you're
yeah. Here, so let's just go to suggested, and let's say that. Yeah, I found this Saison Brett 2009. So let me go in here. I'll check in. Right. Totally loved it. Here's the thing is you can rate it. So say this was my super favorite. I'm going to rate it 4 tabs. And then I can write a note about it. So say I really liked the smooth, pull of the beer, but it had maybe a bitter aftertaste that I just couldn't stand. And then I can take a photo of it so I know about it better. And then once you're done with that, it will actually give you suggestions on beers to try and things that you might like later, which I really liked. It's kind of like the Netflix for beer, Netflix suggestion for beer,
for you.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's Untapped. It's free in the App Store, in the Google Play Store, and check it out. Add me as a friend. OMG Chad.
Cool, and that's Untapped, no E, so UNTAPPD.
Untapped.
Untapped.
Yeah. Right. And so it was pretty cool to go bar hopping and checking into different beers, and I'm pretty bummed that it didn't find this Anchor Steam, because it was finding the craziest stuff that we were trying to be really, really obscure in finding.
And it's all plugged in. I mean, like a friend of mine uses this, and he uses it to check into the bars we're at, and so because it cross posts to Foursquare,
right?
So and you can post to Twitter and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a neat little app.
Cool, awesome. That is Untapped, and it is free. So far we have food, we have game, we have drink, and we have notification panel. Duh.
It's the
you saw that coming, didn't you?
I was gonna say it's the Trinity, but they're four, the 40.
All right, so mine is called More Quickly Panel. And it is an extension. Well, it's okay. I believe it requires. Does it require Jelly Bean? I don't think it does. No, it supports Gingerbread and Up, but I'm using it on Jelly Bean, so I'm not sure exactly how it's presented on Gingerbread in the notification. But basically what it is it brings, and I get the feeling that you've covered something similar to this on a previous arena, or maybe it was Eileen.
I think it was Eileen.
But it brings the notification toggle to your notification pull down if you don't have one already. And the cool thing about this one is it kind of follows the traditional kind of holo kind of color sequence here. You can do all of your controls from here, control these things, turn them off, turn them on. Pretty straightforward stuff as far as that's concerned. There's also settings in there to try and make sure that it's always up at the very top. So it's very minimal. It kind of stays out of the way. It doesn't take up super, huge amount of space up in your notification.
So you could hypothetically, like I've got the power management widget on my phone. I could get rid of that and just add this to the notifications and save the screen space.
Yeah, if you wanted to. Yeah, if you wanted to cut it back. And a lot of times with these kind of things, I've installed them and then not liked them because that thing that I want always at the top ends up being in the middle and down below and everything like that. Well, this actually has controls for staying at the top of your notifications. So just different ways that you can kind of play with based on the version of Android that you're using. You can kind of toggle these things and it'll kind of force it so that it stays up at the very top. You can also, select which items you show up at the very top there. It's very easy to just kind of go through and select them all. If you want one page, which is the way I have it right now. Let's see here. I just have one page up there, but you can also have take off the single page, and then let's see. I'll update the panel, and now I get this plus a little arrow. So I just get the one single presentation. If I hit that arrow, it gives me more notification or more toggle buttons, or even a third page of them. So you could have them all if you wanted to. I had that disabled. But it's just a really easy way to kind of get some of those notifications, or the I keep saying notification, the toggle buttons on that page, and kind of customize it so that it looks good. You can do all sorts of customization like color changing and all that kind of stuff, but I kept it pretty straightforward. It also has a tablet mode, which kind of changes the presentation for tablet, but you can really just kind of get in there and make it look however you want. Cool. In that pull down, and I've liked it a lot. It's actually also very inexpensive. Right now they're actually doing a first anniversary sale. It's 34% off, so I think it's 99 cents. But normally it's $1. What did I have in the dock here? $1.83. So maybe 99 cents is not wrong or not right, but it's somewhere around there.
About what? $1.20.
$1.20. There we go. Yeah. I couldn't see it because I bought it, so it just said purchased for me. But there we go. More quickly panel. Pretty low cost, gives you those toggles, and I think it's pretty handy.
That app actually reminds me a app that was previously in the arena, the battery widget. What is the Pro?
Yeah, battery. Yep.
That added a Jelly Bean home screen lock screen widget. So now if I go there, I get a big ol' on my lock screen what my battery level is at. So so that was one of my complaints about the lock screen, was that we're limited to all the Google Jelly Bean ones. Now it looks like developers are able to add their own ones, so I'm looking forward to seeing other lock screen widgets.
They all end up there. Yeah, you're starting to see more and more of that definitely now. So that's great. All right.
I have an update.
An update. Oh, you've been searching for the beer.
I have.
Really bothered you.
It was user error. It's Anchor Brewing Company, not Anchor Steam Brewing Company.
Oh, yeah.
And on top of that, they named it Our Special Ale 2012 in the app. So, yeah, it doesn't say that anywhere on the brewery. So it was an SEO problem.
No, it doesn't.
So, yeah. Anyway, found it, added it.
So you say. I see no proof of that.
Oh, well, I have to switch cameras.
You know what would be really cool on that
Here you go. Bam.
Nope. Nothing.
Yeah.
1 second.
It's all falling apart, Chad.
There we go. Our special Christmas ale. Look at that.
We believe you.
Fine.
We'll give it 3 stars or 4 stars.
All right, there you go. You know what would be really cool with that is if you could take a picture of the label and have it search up like that.
I know.
Then it would add that label.
Would be really, that's really cool. Yeah. And I'm surprised it doesn't scan barcodes on bottles.
Yeah, normally
there's a QR code on this bottle. That would be pretty handy. All right, we got to wrap it up because we have NSFW hot on the heels of this show.
We're getting dirty looks.
If you need to vote, which I think you need to, I think it's incumbent upon you to vote on your favorite app from this week. Is it Foodster, Team Awesome, Untapped, or More Quickly Panel? Go to AAApoll.com/89, AAApoll.com/89, and let us know which is your favorite. And we'll see how that fares. But in order to speed things along, let's first tease next week Mauricio Balvanera.
My good friend Mauricio Balvanera
That's right.
of Revision 3, and who I used to do App Judgment with. He'll be in studio while I'll be on Skype because I'll be in New York for the holidays. So, I had dinner with Mao last night, and he's like, I'm going to do All About Android. I go, I'm not going to be there.
I'm stoked. He's only been on one other time, and I was not on, so I'm stoked to be on.
It'll be fun. It'll be good. He's a smart guy. So.
And I'm super stoked that you were able to join us once again, Michael Wolfson. Thank you so much for coming on the show once again.
It was great. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, man. So this is kind of your opportunity to plug whatever you have going on. What's new?
Well, please go to the Play Market and download Droid of the Day. Droid of the Day. You can find it by searching DOTD. that's about it. If you're a developer and you'd like to see your app featured as a Droid of the Day, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to do that for you.
Awesome. You're at Mike Wolfson on Twitter as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. And we'll definitely bring you back sometime soon. It's awesome having you on the show. Ron, go for it.
You can find all my stuff at about.me/RonXO. My big mug is there along with links to my Google Plus and Facebook and Twitter, as well as ifanboy.com, which is a great place for comic books if that's your thing, because that's where I am during the day. So.
Excellent. Chad.
My name's Chad. I do a little Minecraft show here on the TWiT network, OMG Craft. But really, if you want to be updated on everything that I do, head on over to my Twitter account, twitter.com/OMGChad or at OMGChad. Cool.
Excellent. There you go. And you can find me at about.me/Jason Howell or on Twitter at Jason Howell. That is it for this week. Thank you for joining us once again. Leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. Or if you like the old-fashioned way, you can leave us an email at aaa@twit.tv or send us a video mail, a link in that email to your video, and we'll play it on the show. Find the show on Twitter. We are at Android Show. You can find our show on the internet at twit.tv/AAA. All of our past episodes are there, as well as places like iTunes, YouTube, all over the place. It's pretty hard to miss us. And finally, you can catch us live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific at live.twit.tv. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android. Now, get yourself a Nexus 4.
Yeah. Order now. Order today.